Every dynasty, every franchise, every locker room has a moment when the chemistry either fractures into 1,000 pieces or forms an unbreakable link. And once that splinter starts, there isn't enough glue or press conference polish. Furthermore, no PR strategy was astute enough to restore it. This exact trend has already been observed in basketball. We witnessed it with Kobe Bryant and a coaching staff that was unable to match his intense obsession. We witnessed it with Michael Jordan and the executives attempting to outwit the building's most astute rival in music. LeBron James and the coaches that insisted on implementing antiquated strategies around a player who is already 3 chess moves ahead are examples of this. And Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are currently experiencing the same fracturing in front of every camera, microphone, music, and fan who is still willing to attend the arena in Indianapolis. This time, however, it was captured on camera. Additionally, the front desk won't be able to clean, sanitize, or rotate what the camera captured beneath the gleaming hardwood. You're welcome. Today, we are dissecting the most spectacular sideline video leak from the entire 2026 season, frame by frame. We are discussing the exact moment Caitlin Clark turned to face her own coaching staff, smiled courteously at the media, and informed them that she was done playing along.
With her coaches, she looks like she's done with their BS and attempt to micromanage everything she does. This coaching staff is not fit to coach a modern style player. Let's watch this. So this is the video. Caitlin Clark is going off, bro.
This is the video. Caitlin Clark is losing her mind. This is not a little disagreement, bro. Music. This is a serious sideline coaching issue. In front of a national television audience, this generational icon is approaching her breaking point in real time and won't keep quiet about it. The scenario inside that locker room is significantly more volatile than anyone imagined, so you should take a deep breath if you believed that the arena's empty seats were the biggest warning sign for this team. Because context alters everything, let's carefully create the scene. The Indiana Fever defeated the Seattle Storm 89-78 and easily won. That seems like a solid, competent, and comprehensive team victory. However, no box scorer can adequately convey the narrative of that victory. With 21 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds, Caitlin Clark flirted with a triple-double and practically led the whole game from the point guard position like a conductor leading an orchestra. She was a system, not only a participant in it. The Fever took a huge lead in the first half when Clark had the go-ahead to run the offense at her own speed. They were attacking spaces, moving the ball, getting clear looks, and turning Seattle's defense into traffic cones. When she was on the court, they were a +11. At last, the arena sounded like the structure that people had envisioned when Clark was drafted. However, head coach Stephanie White was not celebrating, according to several accounts that have surfaced from the Fever's inner circle. It was said that she was incensed. And there's a single, straightforward question that every sincere basketball fan ought to be asking right now. Why? If her team is winning a professional basketball game by double digits, why would any head coach in any sport be upset? Those same reports claim that the response is uncomfortable. According to reports, White was displeased with the approach rather than the outcome. She was displeased with Caitlin Clark's ability to go beyond the playbook, put it aside, and execute the offense at a tempo and speed that is genuinely effective in the modern game. Clark's natural read and react flow, music, has subtly replaced the plodding, micromanaged half-court grind that the staff has been attempting to implement all season, and it seems that this was intolerable. And the cameras captured what transpired at that very time. It is hard to ignore the video itself. It's unprocessed. Fight is uncensored and leaves very little room for interpretation.
And she kept talking to her, and she's still snapping on her, bro. Snapping on him, bro. Keep that energy, demon. Please delete this. It's going to turn against CC. You new to this? I don't think this should be deleted, bro. I don't. Because
on the sidelines, Caitlin Clark is plainly pushing back against whatever instruction is being given to her while making impassioned gestures toward the floor to defend her choices. She does not exhibit the cooperative head-nodding position of a novice taking in criticism. This is a franchise player's body language when they've had enough. She's speaking. She is giving an explanation. She's pointing. She is not going to back down. Additionally, the longer the video plays, the more obvious it is that this is not a fast fix. This is a conflict. After biting her tongue for months, Clark has the expression of someone who has just spoken the truth out when the camera cuts away. You will now, of course, witness two very different responses to this video. The mainstream media will portray it as an issue. They will claim that Clark is uncoachable. They will claim that she is challenging authority. Every time a fresh star tries to challenge an establishment, they will seek for the worn-out playbook. Let me tell you the truth, though. This video music is not a crisis if you are an Indiana Fever fan. Perhaps the most promising thing you have seen all season is this video. Because the best defensive mind in women's college basketball history is what you are witnessing. Caitlin Clark processes the floor more quickly than the clipboard holders, refusing to allow her career to be controlled into mediocrity. She recognizes the weak side rotation before the defense even starts it. When the pick-and-roll defender goes too far with their cheating, she can tell. In the same manner that a chess grandmaster examines the board, she interprets the game's tempo. And the only appropriate reaction is precisely what we just seen when a coaching staff insists on micromanaging every single dribble, every single read, and every single shot of a player performing at that level. Music. Take a step back. Raise your voice. Don't let yourself be degraded. Please do me a favor before we delve any farther. If you think this breakdown is going well, please hit the like button and let me know which side you support in a comment. Are you and Caitlin Clark biking together? Or do you support the coaching staff because they believe they are more knowledgeable than the most researched basketball expert in the game? The plot is developing quickly, and the next chapter may be released tomorrow, so subscribe to ensure you don't miss a second of it. This sideline moment doesn't exist in a vacuum, which is why it hits so hard. This isn't just one horrible day. This is the outward manifestation of a pattern that music has been developing for several weeks. Take a look back at the Washington Mystics' latest overtime defeat. In addition to scoring 32 points, making 7 three-pointers, and dishing out 8 assists, Caitlin Clark's outburst in the fourth quarter forced the Fever back into a game they had no right to be in. She organized a clinic. In any other organization, her performance would have been the main attraction at the news conference following the game. When questioned about it, how did her own head coach respond? She sidestepped. She gave a group praise. Music. She discussed perseverance. She was careful to give credit to Kelsey Mitchell. And for some reason, she refrained from highlighting Clark's unique genius, the kind of brilliance that the whole basketball world had just witnessed in real time. Then there was the play call, which is a topic of constant debate. A bucket was required for the Fever. The clock was running out of time. Caitlin Clark with the ball in her hands at the top of the key was the only thing the opposing defense was waiting for. Instead, Kelsey Mitchell's look was created by the staff. Music. Kelsey Mitchell is a skilled scorer now. No one is doubting that. However, it is not a basketball decision to take the ball away from the most productive and intelligent player on the floor on the game's most crucial possession. It's a political choice. It's the kind of decision you make while attempting to convince yourself, the media, or the locker room of something. It backfired precisely as every impartial observer had anticipated. Music. In addition, there are odd rotation patterns. In addition, there were times when Clark was pulled in the middle of a heating for no apparent reason. In addition, there are the post-game remarks that consistently manage to take credit away from a player who truly carried the load. Additionally, you don't end up with a string of coaching mishaps. In the end, you have a pattern. The fan community has been tracking this trend in real time. A franchise player herself is now clearly pushing back on the sidelines in front of every camera in the building due to this habit. There was more to the pressure cooker than just a whistle. Music. The lid blew off. The story takes an intriguing turn at the post-game news conference. Stephanie White's voice became substantially quieter as she approached the podium. There was tension in the room. Music. Outside the building, the story was blazing. The news of the week, music, was the empty seats, and all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark got some praise.
We've seen from Caitlin probably in the 10 months in her return, only needed a couple threes, only 5 shots, led in every one of those categories. What to you seems like the most back or the furthest along maybe in her time back?
I think her burst. I think her burst. I think you can see it not just in taking off with the ball in her hands, but you can see it in the lift in her shot. You can see she looks strong. She looks like loaded in her actions. I think you can tell it by the way she's getting to the free throw line too. So I just think her movement patterns and her burst are back.
White discussed Clark's outburst. She described how she lifted throughout her jump shot. She claimed that Clark appeared powerful, confident, and capable of making the free throw line once more. Clark's movement patterns had returned, she claimed. This sounds like sincere appreciation at first glance. But pay close attention to what was said. Additionally, it is crucial to pay attention to what was purposefully omitted because that is where the truth is found. Take note of the language. Strong, loaded, burst, lift, and movement patterns. Each and every one of those praises is about Clark's body, her physical characteristics, her athleticism, her recuperation, music. The things that are entirely outside the coaching staff's control. Music. The things that no whiteboard, no clipboard, and no system can claim credit for. Now consider what was lacking in that compliment. Music. Her court vision, decision-making, basketball intelligence, and the fact that the Fever's offense clearly changed into a more effective and dangerous machine as soon as Clark took the wheel were all ignored. Because praising those things would be acknowledging that the team's success is not due to the coaching staff. White will not step over that line. She'll give the athlete a compliment. She won't give the genius a compliment. And the friction will only increase until that changes. This is the point at which the franchise's long-term viability becomes seriously threatened. The organization ceases to work like a basketball team and begins to function like a power struggle when a head coach is more concerned with safeguarding her own system than with making the most of her franchise player. Fans who are not foolish may sense it as well. The body language conveys it to them. In the press briefings, they may hear it. The rotations give them a sense of it. And they are reacting using their wallets, the last remaining leverage. Take a look at the music arena. Take a look at the box office situation. The Indiana Fever, who were meant to be the most sought-after team in women's basketball, have been attending games with thousands of empty seats. Music. Some matchups have reportedly seen resale ticket prices plummet into single digits. On social media, fans are publicly mobilizing and stating that they will not provide financial support to a club that they feel is deliberately undermining the player who made the map. Examine the comment sections beneath any video that features the Fever. At the moment, the devotion has changed from the franchise to the player, the language is sharper, and the patience is shorter. Fans of the Indiana Fever have faded. They follow the Fever and are admirers of Caitlin Clark. And the front office should go into full panic music mode as soon as a fanbase makes that distinction. Because this is the harsh truth of the economy. Prior to Clark's arrival, this team's average attendance was much lower than what it is now. The statistics on television were insignificant. There was very little interest in sponsoring. There was hardly any cultural significance. Caitlin Clark did not merely become a member of the Fever. In a single off-season, she completely rebuilt the organization's commercial base. And now, while its own coaching staff seems to be openly at odds with the player who brought about that lightning strike comeback, the very ownership group that profited from it is sitting quietly. Silence does not equate to neutrality. Silence is a decision. The most important choice in this franchise's recent history is currently being made by the Snorts Simon family ownership group, team president Kelly Kruskoff, and general manager Amber Cox. Do they still support a coaching staff that seems to be engaged in a slow-motion battle with the sport's most marketable, gifted, and powerful player? Or do they safeguard the asset that transformed their balance sheet from music, forgettable to historic? You can't do both. While the cameras are capturing altercations on the sidelines, you cannot continue to assure the audience that everything is all right. Caitlin Clark cannot continue to be told to wait while the play calls are being made for someone else. While the present is leaking footage that contradicts every word of the marketing campaign, you cannot continue to sell followers on a picture of the future. Eventually, a choice must be made. Additionally, the decision gets more costly the longer the front office waits. It's important to speak aloud about the additional aspect of all of this that is frequently disregarded. It's challenging to coach a generational talent. It really is difficult. There are enormous egos involved. The demands are overwhelming. The focus from the media is oppressive. Additionally, the player almost always sees the game before anyone else in the building. However, the greatest basketball coaches in history have one thing in common. They were prepared to change. Michael Jordan was the focal point of Phil Jackson's triangle. Greg Popovich modified his strategy to accommodate Tim Duncan and, subsequently, an unexpected French point guard. After LeBron James left, Eric Spoelstra constructed his entire worldview around him. Making a star submit to your system is not the essence of great coaching. Music. Creating a system that allows a star to soar is the skill of great coaching. We are currently witnessing the antithesis of that art in Indianapolis. We are witnessing a coaching staff that is committed to demonstrating that the system is more important than the individual. And the outcome of that war is very evident in history. The coach does not have a happy ending. Caitlin Clark is not an issue that has to be handled. She is not a project that should be delayed. She doesn't need to be humbled as a novice. She is the most prepared, well-researched, and basketball-obsessed player of her generation. Since she was a teenager, she has been dissecting defenses. Since her second year of college, she has been producing books at a professional level. By many measures, she is among the most sophisticated offensive brains in women's history. To be honest, it is basketball malpractice to approach that athlete as though she has to be restrained, slowed down, or taught humility on the sidelines. You don't teach a Formula One car to be patient by putting it on a residential speed bump. You construct a track that allows it to run. To be fair though, there is another aspect of this discussion that merits an open discussion. Stephanie White has a decent basketball mind. She has triumphed on several fronts. Peers in the league have come to respect her. When applied appropriately, her defensive mindset has yielded positive outcomes. Furthermore, it's quite conceivable that some of the conflict we're witnessing is the inevitable growing pain of any new collaboration between a strong-willed celebrity and a strong-willed coach. Not every talk on the sidelines is a disaster. Every furrowbrow is not a rivalry. It's messy, coaching. Star management is a shambles. Additionally, often what appears to be a meltdown on video is actually just a driven competitor overcoming a difficult situation. That subtlety is important. It is worthy of recognition. However, subtlety can only buy so much time. Additionally, it gets more difficult to dismiss any of this as ordinary the longer the pattern persists. The problem with leak footage is as follows. Healthy organizations do not experience footage leaks. You don't see viral sideline footage of altercations when a locker room is running smoothly, a star and the coaching staff are in sync, and the front office is communicating effectively. Post-game news conferences that blatantly steer clear of the stars' names are uncommon. The entire fan base does not dispute the line of command when rotation decisions are made. Leaks are signs. They are the smoke that indicates a fire in the buildings inside. Additionally, the Indianapolis fire has been raging for several months. Now, the only question is if anyone in a position of actual authority is prepared to enter the smoke and extinguish it. This story also has a generational component that merits greater consideration than it has. The world of women's basketball is undergoing a significant cultural transition. Music. There is more talent than ever before. The viewership is larger than it has ever been. Expectations are at an all-time high. Additionally, the new players are joining the league with a degree of self-advocacy, marketing acumen, and preparedness that the prior generation just lacked. The result of the change is Caitlin Clark. If the instruction she is given does not align with what she observes on the floor, she will not silently take it in. She will resist. She will make inquiries. She will insist that the system accommodate her. To be honest, every great athlete in every great sport has always done that. The main distinction is that in the era of streaming, the conversation takes place while a camera is aimed at it. What comes next, then? That's the question worth millions of dollars. There are several options for the front office. They can publicly support the coach, put more pressure on the system, and wait for Clark to change her mind. Before the story spreads, they can discreetly step in behind the scenes, call in a mediator, and attempt to mediate a settlement. The entire offensive strategy can be changed to suit Music, Clark, and the coach can either change or be replaced. Alternatively, they might take no action, let the problem to worsen, and learn the hard way what occurs when a franchise loses a franchise player's faith. Every route has repercussions. Every route has expenses. And a fan audience that is unwilling to remain silent will discuss each course in real time. However, it's getting harder and harder to argue against one thing. The current state of affairs is unsustainable. You cannot continue to manage this team with a fan base that is publicly boycotting a coaching staff that is publicly at odds with a star and a media corps that publicly questions the leadership's ability. There must be a compromise. What gives first is the only true question. The seats continue to vacate. The clips continue to leak. The press briefings continue to be criticized. And the star at the heart of it all continues to improve, gain confidence, and grow closer to the version of the game that everyone outside of gain confidence, and grow closer to the version of the game that everyone outside of Indianapolis has been anticipating. It's a true collision path. The time is running out. Next few weeks will reveal if this franchise is being managed by adults with long-term goals or by individuals holding onto a system that the current game has already abandoned. If there is a bright side to any of Music, it is that Caitlin Clark is demonstrating the exact leadership that the circumstances call for. She's not sulking. She's not subtweeting. She is not giving friendly reporters anonymous quotes. She is playing her game, hitting nearly triple doubles, leading her team to victories, and defending her readings when necessary. That's precisely what you want from a cornerstone franchise. A player who is willing to dispute is what you desire. You want a player that won't accept coaching to become a lesser version of herself. You want a player who values each possession because, in the case of Music, every possession does count. It's hardly a scandal that the cameras caught her in that state. It's a signal. A warning that the player in the middle of the storm won't be the one to break. And that takes us back to the beginning. The footage, the soundtrack, the sideline, the frustration, the disobedience, the rejection. That doesn't represent a player who has given up. That represents a player who has just made the decision to give up acting. Additionally, the entire organization surrounding a generational star must change or move aside once she finishes acting. This story is not new to us. We are aware of the conclusion. How long it takes the authorities to read the signs that the rest of us can clearly see is the only unanswered question. This is where I would like to hear from you. What do you think after seeing this video? Do you believe Caitlin Clark should follow the rules and have faith in the process, or is she justified in resisting on the sidelines? Should the front office intervene now, or should they wait until the season is over before evaluating the staff? Furthermore, how long can a franchise truly endure when the building's loudest and most devoted supporters are using their feet and money to cast ballots? Leave your frank, unvarnished remarks. I read them, I react to them, and the finest ones frequently influence the subsequent breakdown. You already know that this story is not going to slow down if you have read this far. The upcoming chapter may arrive quickly. Thus, click the subscribe button, fully activate the notification bell, and stay tuned. Because the Indianapolis scenario is no longer just a basketball story. It is a vote on how a contemporary franchise should handle a talent from a different generation. And each and every one of us who are watching has the opportunity to choose which side of that history we wish to be on. I'll see you in the upcoming one.